Okay, I found my love, which is great. It was in my laptop bag. So tonight, or yesterday I guess, because this is coming out on the Saturday and I watched it on the Friday night. Tonight I watched the Frankenstein movie that was released on Netflix, like today. I'm so sorry, I'm going to butcher his name, but Guillermo del Toro, I think is his name. Like I said, I'm going to butcher it. I'm very sorry. I have a headache, so I don't really have the energy to fact check pronunciation or anything. It's also why I'm wearing my glasses, because I have a headache. I thought I want to review this because I really liked it. I'm going to start off by saying this is the first genuine adaptation of the work that I've ever watched. The work being Frankenstein by Mary Shelley, which I've actually never read either, which is fascinating, honestly. In my defense, I did English literature and English language in year 11 and 12, and that was around the time that they were actually doing Frankenstein in mainstream English, and I didn't do it. So yeah, unfortunate that I'm getting to this now. That's not the point. I had to note down some of my thoughts because the movie was so good. It's one of those movies that Mum and I would probably annoy whoever's sitting with us, because we'd just be sitting there and discussing it, but that is the way that we enjoy our movies, you know? So I'm not sure if other people have different copies, but yeah, this is a pretty hefty book, lots of pages. This is also a very small version. This is a Penguin Books copy, which I love Penguin Books. Great publisher, kind of my dream publication. But I think the 2.5 hours that this movie ran was great to tell this story. I loved the movie. The acting was wonderful. Costuming was all right. I don't have authority to say if it was completely accurate, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to say I really liked the costumes, the acting. Oscar Isaac and Mia Goth were really good. I enjoyed that they broke the film up into 3 parts. You had the prelude, Frankenstein's tale, and the creature's tale. So the prelude kind of gives you like, okay, these Danish sailors are stuck in the ice, they're trying to get out, they see this explosion, go to figure out what's happening in the explosion, find this man with a prosthetic leg, hear this roar, take him back to the boat, suddenly this monster is chasing them, and so this man has to tell them who he is, Victor Frankenstein, and why this is all happening, which leads us into Frankenstein's tale, where he tells us his side of the story and how he created this creature and all that. And then we get the creature's tale, which is the creature's side of the story, what he feels. It helped to A, establish the characters, and B, give the audience both sides of the story so we could make our own conclusions with all the facts. Which they don't do very often in some films, some novels. It's usually from one perspective and follows it through the whole way. So this was really good. The madness that Victor Frankenstein possesses is incomparable to anyone else's madness I've ever seen. His madness is brought on from a life of being drilled in anatomy and surgical terms, neglect in some ways, being held as like second fiddle to his younger brother who looks prettier than him, and then being denied this scientific breakthrough he came up with. That all fuels this madness, this need to prove something. And the way he does that is through making this creature, collecting different parts and skin and organs and all that from these different subjects and people, corpses, to make the perfect person, and then learning how to reanimate and make him live, and then getting more crazy because in teaching this creature how to be, he's not getting any sleep because he's awake all the time, making sure the creature is safe and like calm. And then he's got to, like, obviously if you don't sleep very long or for very much, you will end up losing your mind a bit, and that is what happened to him. For me specifically, I feel Victor's madness does not develop into an affection of any sort for the creature or an affection for anyone really. And to me that is sad because this creature is so innocent. He's just woken up, he's brand new, he's just been born. You should treat him like a newborn. Something I kept saying throughout the movie every time Victor like hit or punished the creature is, he's just a boy. Yeah, like, there's always this argument about nature versus nurture. But in the case of Frankenstein's monster, his nature is learned through nurture, through how he's being treated and taught. He's learning about violence, and he's learning about how to be from this only person that he knows, Victor. This person, the first face he saw, basically, the person that means everything to him. And this person isn't treating him with much respect. He's hitting him, he's yelling at him, all that stuff. Of course, the creature's going to learn that. So some spoilers for throughout the movie is like when the creature gets to this village, the sheep farmers, and he meets the old man, the blind man, who teaches his granddaughter how to read, but I noticed this, he would show the granddaughter a card with a word on it, ask her what it is, and then flip it backwards and ask her what the card is again. And behind him, hidden away in the mill gears, looking through a crack in the wall, is the creature, learning as well. And I feel that in some way the old man knew the creature was there and was teaching him too, and I just think, And so something that the creature learns through that is this tenderness that he's not being given from Victor, and it's sweet and it's heart-wrenching, but it's also beautiful. And yeah, he may have been formed from convicts and soldiers and discarded bodies, but his heart and the development of his mind is so pure and so young. And I think Victor forgets that. But the old man, even after learning how the creature came to be, he still says he's his friend, and it just breaks my heart in the best way. But yeah, like, the creature's dreams and his morals, they're so relatable and so innocent. Like, I may be this big monstrous form, this jigsaw puzzle of flesh and parts, but I only want to help people. And I have learned that this violence is not because of hatred, it's because of nature. That is how violence is. And then of course, you know, he like gets shot a few times and things. It's like, well, now he's learning that this violence is not so much hatred and it's not so much nature, it's fear. And he doesn't know how to fix this fear. He hasn't learned about this, but he understands what fear is because Victor taught him what fear is. And I just think it's so interesting, the comparison and the contrast of what Victor taught him versus what the old man taught him. It's very, very different. And did I mention I cried? I feel like this story of Frankenstein is the epitome of what misunderstood characters are. Because yes, he looks grotesque and monstrous, and one of his eyes is kind of hollow and reflects all the light and things in this really, really cool way. But if you take the time to stop and understand him, like Elizabeth did, or like the old man did, you find out he's actually just really tender and kind, and all he wants is love and someone to teach him the ways of life, because he doesn't remember what life was, you know? Just is interesting to me, that sort of thing, that sort of misunderstanding. And I came to this revelation with Mum. I always tend to side for the misunderstood characters. Like the creature, which I will never call him a monster. He is not a monster to me. He is a creature. He is a creation of aesthetically and scientifically what is the best of humanity taken from the worst of humanity, if that makes sense. And in some way, that is similar to, say, the Phantom of the Opera, Eric, who is this man, this skeletal, ghost-like figure with yellow skin pulled taut over his skull like a drumhead, hollow eyes with emptiness inside them, just bright yellow circles in his eyes, bones and graspy voice. But inside Eric is tenderness, and he's misunderstood. He's a genius. He can create, he can build, he can write music that sits in the hearts of people forever, and they just don't understand him because he looks different. And to me, misunderstood characters are just so amazing to explore, you know? And people usually compare like Frankenstein with Jekyll and Hyde, right? But I feel like the comparison should be more Frankenstein versus Gaston Leroux's Phantom of the Opera, not Andrew Lloyd Webber's. Gaston Leroux's, like I just described to you with the skeletal figure and all that. Because both can be considered manifestations of pure evil and hatred and the devil and things. But get to know them, they're not like that. I mean, sure, Eric is a little bit crazy up here, but otherwise, he's very good. Whereas basically the only comparison you can make between Frankenstein and Jekyll and Hyde, to me, is they're both doctors. They both experimented even when they were told not to. And they both die. Spoilers. The reason I say you can't compare these two is because Henry Jekyll experimented on himself, and his experiment was specifically trying to separate good and evil into two separate individual identities, and that's where we came up with Edward Hyde, who is the very embodiment of all that is evil in Jekyll, and therefore should not be blamed for going around killing people because, like, he kind of made him that way. Whereas Frankenstein is, or at least Victor's whole goal is trying to reanimate the dead, bring back life to the lifeless in some way, shape, or form. And he creates this character, this creature who is completely innocent, who is only ever exposed to negativity by him, who learns about the world in a different way completely. His actions are formed by the people that he goes around, works around. So that's where you can see that that draws more of a connection to Phantom of the Opera, where Eric was abandoned by his mother and became basically a sideshow in the circus and had to live in the sewers and the catacombs under Paris because no one wanted to see his face. Everyone was scared of him. Sound familiar? Yeah. So to me, the only main comparison you can make between these two is which one's the better doctor, who wrote the better notes and who kept the better report and records. To that I would say Frankenstein probably, because he's got pages and pages of records, whereas Jekyll kind of loses himself to the elixir. It's not really his fault, but yeah. So, now that I've dragged on this video for too long, and you're probably all going to say it's monetization, but I'm not being monetized yet. Final thoughts on Netflix's Frankenstein. Being that it is the first genuine film adaptation of the book, the first genuine film adaptation of the book that I've watched, I I don't have much to compare it to, except, you know, parodies that I've watched and that one webcomic that is still going, but I haven't caught up on in a while. I think it was good. I really like it. I give it like probably 4 points, honestly, if like that's just me saying that. I think that the directing and the script writing and honestly the cinematography were very, very good. I enjoyed the story. I appreciate that we got the chance to see both sides or hear both sides before we could make our final judgment. That ending, I swear, it's gonna make me cry if I watch it again. It was so good. I'm a sucker for like a forgiveness thing. That's why it's all Quiet Uptown always makes me cry in Hamilton. I would say if you have a spare 2.5 hours, go and watch it because it was really, really good. And if you want to discuss it, you can discuss it in the comments because I would love to hear your thoughts. I plan to, when I finish reading the novel, maybe do like an analysis comparison thing. So analyze the book and compare it to the movie, kind of like I used to do with my like musical essays where I would analyze them and talk to you about them. I kind of want to do that with the book because I didn't get to do that in high school and we never did Frankenstein in university. So yeah, maybe I just wasn't choosing the right unit, but I did a whole thing on Gothic. I did a whole thing on, yeah, anyway. Really enjoyed the movie. Frankenstein is a great movie. I will probably never be able to say it the way that most people say it. For some reason, the NK sound gets stuck in my nose. I think, for me personally, my trifecta of Gothic novels would have to be these 3. Because I think they have really good themes to them. And I honestly would not object to watching Frankenstein again because it was really, really good. I legitimately was focusing the whole time, which isn't something I can say a lot. And now I'm tired. I'm probably coming down with something, but I really, really wanted to get this review filmed so that I can upload it tomorrow. Because I'm going to be going straight to bed, I think, because I'm tired. Yeah. So, that's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoy the movie if you go and see it. Next week, I may be a bit delayed in video because I'll be away on a volunteering camp. But it should be, I could, I guess, work over the week on editing the closet reorganization video that was supposed to come out last week. Yeah, we'll do that. I'll hopefully have a closet reorganization video scheduled to go up next Sunday. And then I guess after that would probably be the review for Wicked for Good. Yeah, just those sorts of things. If those sound like good, or sound like videos you'd like to watch, you could subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so that you don't miss them when they come out, because I'm going to try to be on top of things. Probably also actually going to sit here and record the review for Thunderbolts that I wrote out the script for, because that's been a long time coming. I have a couple of reviews that I'm going to film, even though they're like almost a year delayed. And I keep saying that, and then I don't. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you next week, maybe, if I can get the video edited in time. Have a good week. Go watch some movies, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye.